Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Small Talk. I am going to record a video today on two topics. Actually, I'm going to record two separate videos, I guess, because one video will be too long. The first one I'm going to talk about is constipation and bloating and GI tract problems, basically, in general. What is constipation and why is it, and how is it caused, and what's the cure in Ayurveda medicine for constipation? It's a very interesting topic because as far as I know, majority of Indian, Pakistanis, and even white Americans and blacks, you name it, everybody is going through some sort of GI tract problems in this time and age. And the reason being is because the loss of additives, preservatives in the food, which our body is not designed to digest. It's not consumable, but we are eating it on a daily basis. The food is not fresh, it's not organic anymore, it has been genetically modified. So all those things don't help because our system is not designed to digest such complicated food. Our system was designed to eat natural, raw food coming from the nature, from farm to your kitchen, to your table, kind of. But now, just to improve the shelf life of lots of produce, they're adding lots of additives and preservatives, and they are genetically modifying the food, which is causing indigestion and GI tract problems in our system. For example, wheat. Wheat has gluten, we all know this. We grew up eating roti 3 times a day in Pakistan and India. That's the main source of uh, uh, energy that we use it comes from wheat. And we never had any problem. My father has been consuming, my grandmother, they lived off of bread, homemade roti, and they ate that 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with some kind of salan that they make, whether it's a sabzi or it's meat or anything like that. But now the wheat that we get, at least the wheat we get here in the US, it's very highly genetically modified just to improve the shelf life of the wheat. I don't know if you guys have noticed the people who actually use atta that comes from India. We make roti at home, all the Desi families. If you've noticed that the atta can sit in your house for 6 months to a year and doesn't go bad. Whereas in Pakistan, if you had atta sitting there for a month, it would have those little very teeny tiny white bugs in it, which you can't see, but you could when you touch the atta, you could feel it. It had like lumps in them, which means the atta has gone bad. But now that atta, the dry flour, can sit there for 6 months, a year, and nothing happens to it. It's because they have they have genetically modified that flour to increase the gluten in the flour, which gives it a longer shelf life. Recently, I came across some controversy about Indian atta that was coming here, and there was a big lawsuit against Indian flour saying that they were adding plastic in it, and then there were some tests that were being done. And just out of curiosity, because I have gluten intolerance now in this country, so I don't eat roti as much. So I took the dough that I had made, and the test was that you have to wash it under the tap water and keep washing it and keep washing it. And if you have a big chunk of plastic left over, that means there's something wrong, and the flour that's coming from India, they're obviously mixing something in it. So I didn't believe in it, but then I was making dough one day, and I took a big chunk of dough and I started washing it. The atta kept getting washed off until I was literally left with this much piece of gluten. It was like plastic, and I was like, there's no way my stomach can break this down into small pieces and push it down in my intestine. No wonder why every time I eat roti, I have problems. My stomach doesn't feel right. I get bloated, lots of gas, reflux, and I can't digest that food. So I called my sister who was in Pakistan at the time, and I said, can you wash the atta in Pakistan and see if you have something like this come out of it? And she started laughing. She goes, what are you talking about, Baji? That's not how it works. The flour, the dough will just get washed off with water. And I said, just try it anyway. I just want to see it. So she did that, and there was nothing left because her atta, the flour that she gets, she used to get it from my dad, from her farmhouse. So it was organic atta being uh, uh, which was grown in his fields, and she brings the wheat home, and then they have it, they send it to the local machine, and then they make atta from it. So it was being made with a very authentic organic way. So that being said, so many produce, even the fresh fruits and vegetables that we consume today, they're not organic. Like I have bananas sitting in my dish on my kitchen counter for the last 2 weeks, and they're still good. And and it's amazing, because if you go to Pakistan, I don't know about India, I've never been to India, but I'm sure it's the same over there too. If you go to Pakistan, you put a banana in this hot season on your kitchen counter, it will go bad by within 12 hours. But here I have fruits sit on my kitchen counter on in the dish. I go grocery shopping for a whole week. So for example, melon, watermelon, apples, bananas, I don't put them in the fridge. I put them outside on my kitchen counter, and they're good for a week, 10 days, and nothing happens to them, which tells me that these fruits and vegetables they were eating as healthy foods, they're obviously not very healthy either. And that's why we have lots of gut issues right now. Now, how to fix the gut? Of course, fruits and vegetables are still better than eating processed food versus, instead of eating chips and cookies and candies and chocolate bars and all those things, fruits are still going to be better because it's whole food. It has no ingredients in it, no extra added sugar. Sure, it does have preservatives to increase the shelf life of the produce, but it's still better than all those processed food that we eat, or the packet foods that we eat from the supermarket. So you should consume those whole foods. Your vegetables, when you buy vegetables, except for carrot, radish, cucumbers, uh, uh, those are because you can peel those off, so they're okay. You can peel off those and eat them raw. But as far as the rest of the vegetables are concerned, for example, we eat baby spinach. I used to eat baby spinach raw, which is good for you. It's a good source of iron. However, every time I ate raw spinach, it gave me some reflux. So my dad told me, always steam it a little bit, cook it, cook your raw vegetables. Don't eat them raw. Cook them for like maybe 5 minutes, saute them with a little bit of black pepper, and then eat them. Because some of the vegetables, even if you wash them, they have some bacteria which don't get washed off, and instead of doing any good in your system, they will go into your system and they will harm it. So eat your vegetables mildly steamed or sauteed. Don't overcook them. And then second thing is, try to avoid like, read your body. You know your body the best. Read your body. So for example, for me, I've noticed if I drink too much chai with milk, it causes reflux and bloating in my system. So I've tried to avoid this, and now I just only drink black coffee for the most part. Sometimes for shashka, I do drink some chai with milk as well, occasionally though. Same thing with gluten. If I eat roti, like let's say a week in a row, at the end of the week, I'll be 10 pound heavier. I'll have a bigger, fat, bloated belly, and I'll be super constipated. So you are the best master of your own body. Read your body yourself and see which foods are causing you the problems, and try to avoid those foods as much as you can. These are the preventive cares which you can start off with. Now, let's say you've already messed up your system, you have terrible constipation, you're bloated all the time, and it has gotten to a point where it has become chronic for you. How to fix it? So, I'm the victim of that. I've had this problem for a long period of time, and I so last year in Ramadan, so I was always constipated, bloated, lots of reflux, gas. Sometimes I wouldn't have bowel movement for days, which was fine. I had kind of learned to live with it, but it didn't feel right. That causes you lots of fatigue, and I was lethargic all the time, and I was brain fogged, and I couldn't sleep well at night because your stomach hurts. All the waste is just accumulated inside your body. which is not good for you. It's toxins and it has to, get out of your system. But I was not able to get that out of my system. So I kind of had learned to live with it. But then it has gotten to a point, it was Ramadan last year, 2020 is what I'm talking about. And during the whole month of Ramadan, I usually do 24-hour fast, so I don't eat the morning sahur for Ramadan. So I just wake up in the morning and I drink a cup of black coffee and some water, and I'm done. So that's my beginning of my fast. And I've been doing this all my life because I don't feel like eating, 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. It's just something that I can't digest. Um, and then 2020 in Ramadan, in fact, every Ramadan when I did this, I had bowel movement every single day. So in Ramadan, my system would get fixed, and I loved it. So I was always looking forward to Ramadan fasting, and then I would lose weight, I would feel good. And that year, I would wake up every morning, I'll drink my coffee, drink my water, and nothing. It's like you wouldn't even get the feeling that I have to go or I have, and during the whole month of Ramadan, I've had bowel movement barely, like maybe twice or three times in whole month. And I knew something is terribly wrong. Like my system has completely messed up. Like my constipation has become chronic at this point. So I picked up the phone and I called my dad after Eid and I said, Dad, there's a problem. He said, okay. I said, I'm constipated. He said, you're always constipated. I said, yes, but this time it's worse. And he said, what happened? I said, in Ramadan, for the entire month of Ramadan, I didn't go except for 3 times in the whole month. And my dad was in a shock. So my father, my Abu calls me Kamla Dola, right? Kamli Doli. Since my childhood, he didn't think I was very smart. So it was my nickname, my pet name, out of love, because he thought I was just so boli bhali, innocent, seedhi saati si ladki. So he used to call me Kamli Doli, and my dad goes, "Oh Kamli Doli, मुझे बताया क्यों नहीं? इस तरह कौन करता है? तो तुम तो मर जाती." So I was like, I thought I kind of had to live with it. This is a new norm for me. And he said, no, it's not a new norm for you. Next time something like this happens, you should not ignore it. So he told me how to fix. And he was like, so I'm going to explain this in Urdu because it just makes more sense. And he was like, अंतड़ियों में खुश्की हो जाती है, तो तुम्हें अब अपनी अंतड़ियों की खुश्की को ख़त्म करना है. And then he gave me the recipe. So what he said was that your intestines become very dry from inside. And when you eat the food, even though your stomach is digesting it and is pushing it into the intestine, but your intestine is not able to break it into small pieces, basically, and push the waste out of your system. So because the inner lining of your intestine is so dry, you need to lubricate it a little bit. And then he said, take castor oil and warm milk at night, 1 cup of milk with, and then he said, ek chatank castor oil. So I had to search up how much is ek chatank, which was like roughly 4.5 tablespoons. And my husband said, that's a lot of castor oil, that's very strong stuff. And I said, yeah, I know. My dad is a Hakim. He said, you need that much. So he said, the first night you have to take, which was about ek chatank, which was roughly 4.5 tablespoons of castor oil in warm milk. Drink it at night and go to bed. You should feel the pressure in the morning and you should have a bowel movement. So that's to start it off. And then he said, for 30 days, following that, you have to take almond oil, 1 to 2 tablespoons of almond oil every night with 1 glass of warm milk. You have to drink this for a whole month, and that should reset your system, and your जो अंतड़ियों की खुश्की है वो fix वो ख़त्म हो जाएगी, and then you should have your normal process of digestion. And that's exactly what I did. And did it work? Yes, it did work. So when you have chronic constipation, there's a cure for you. It's very easy. So all these laxatives that we get from the doctors, they're obviously temporary fix. They do more like a bandage effect than having a permanent effect on your system. And in fact, when you take lots of laxatives, what it does to your system is we have muscles that contract, that push all the waste out of our system and help our food digest and break down. If any doctor is watching me, you probably understand what I'm saying. But then when you take lots of laxatives, which if you go to a normal allopathy doctor, that's what they're going to prescribe to you. Your muscles forget how to contract because it's like you're stimulating it with artificial, method by medicine. And then once you stop taking the laxatives, then your system shuts down again. So the modern medicine will not help you fix that problem. It's the Ayurveda, it's these home remedies that's going to help you fix those problems. And that's the beauty of Ayurveda. Everything that you do in Ayurveda comes from very natural resources. It comes from the very basics of everyday use, and most of the stuff you will find in your kitchen cabinets, pretty much. Sometimes you have to go and buy something, but most of the time when I call my dad for something and he tells me do this, this, and this, I pretty much find everything in my kitchen, and I can actually start the process right away. So if you're suffering from constipation, bloating, loss of reflux, of course, first thing first, you have to monitor yourself and see which foods cause the problem. Eliminate those from your diet, and then start working on the process that I just mentioned. 4 tablespoons of um, castor oil and warm glass of milk the first night, and then 1 glass of milk with 1 to 2 tablespoons of almond oil, following that for 30 nights every night until you feel like everything is normal and you have a normal bowel movement at least once a day, if not more. I hope this video helps. Please give my video a thumbs up. Please give me your thoughts on this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Until next video, Assalamu alaikum.